At the end of last week's Parsha, we learned how the Midianites caused the Jews to stumble spiritually. In response to that, we got Hashem's command in this week's Parsha, Parshas Pinchas, Tzoroiris HaMidyanim v'hikisem oisam. Fight the Midianites and smite them. Eventually, Jews went to war with Midian and brought about God's justice. The question is why? They weren't fighting over land or natural resources. The only thing the Midianites were guilty of was getting the Jews to sin against God. So why the big fuss? In November 1938, before the onset of World War II, some Jewish children had the opportunity to escape from Nazi Germany and resettle in England through what became well known as the Kindertransport. Unfortunately, there weren't enough religious families to accept these children and raise them in the proper environment. The other families who were willing to take them were not willing to raise the children with Jewish traditions. The chief rabbi of London at the time, the great Rabbi Yecheskel Abramsky, embarked on a frantic campaign to secure funding to ensure that every single child would be placed in a proper Jewish environment. He called on one wealthy Jewish industrialist and begged him for a substantial donation. Rabbi Abramsky said, "You must help. It's true pikuach nefesh." The rich man got very angry and said, "Rabbi, please don't use that term loosely. I know what pikuach nefesh is. When I was young, my parents were very observant. They were Shomer Shabbos. My baby sister got deathly sick one Shabbos, and the rabbi told us that since this was a matter of life and death, we were allowed to desecrate the Shabbos. That's pikuach nefesh." With all due respect, Rabbi, these children are already here in England. They are safe from the Nazis. The only issue is where to place them. How they are raised is not pikuach nefesh. With that, the conversation is over. That Friday evening, the wealthy man who still kept some traditions was sitting at his own Shabbos dinner, and the telephone began to ring incessantly. Finally, the man got up from his meal and answered the phone. He turned white. On the line was none other than Rabbi Abramsky himself. "My dear friend," he said, "please, you know I wouldn't call on Shabbos if I didn't think this was true pikuach nefesh. The Jewish soul is as precious as the Jewish body. Please help these children grow up in a Jewish environment." Needless to say, right after Shabbos, the man responded generously to the appeal. Typically, we understand matters of life and death, justice and injustice, war and peace, in physical and material terms. But the Torah teaches that our enemies are not merely those who threaten our physical existence, but those who threaten our spiritual existence as well. What our enemies were unable to do with bullets and gas chambers, we cannot let them do with assimilation and spiritual secularization. Let us all be strong in our values and educate the next generation to be proud and happy Jews. Wishing you and yours a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevarach.